What's up, guys? Today we're talking about setting expectations and boundaries so that you can maintain rapport in your relationships. So I was in a conversation today with my buddy, and he was talking about an altercation he had with one of his friends, where his friend just vehemently dumped on him for not being around, while he was going through some shit. And he's like, how would you deal with this thing? And I was like, well, so basically I set expectations and boundaries with people on what they can expect from me. And if I agree to be there for them in a particular way, I will do my best to be as consistent as possible with that. But I'm very careful about what I promise to people so that I don't have to make good on something that I don't really want to be involved in. So if somebody's expecting me to do something that's kind of out of my character, or something that I don't see myself providing in the long term into the future, I usually cut them off right away and be like, oh no, you can't really count on me for that. I'm not that person. And I'm pretty blunt about it. So we talked about it for a little while, and he understands this about me. He's known me for a number of years. But I basically don't promise shit that I can't deliver on. And if somebody tries to put me in a box, tries to put me into a place where they can expect something out of me that I don't want to provide, I'll just tell them right away that that's not something that you can count on me for. A lot of people are afraid to set boundaries in the beginning like this because it creates a lot of friction in the moment. Like, I had this friend, he isn't particularly needy, but if you give him an inch, he'll try to take a mile, right? So he'll reach out and be like, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I'll be like, oh yeah, I'll probably go over to this bar or whatever. And then what he'll do is he'll say, oh, well, what time are you going to be there? Because I'm going to be there at this time, and then we're going to hang out. And then I'm like, well, hold on. Like, I'm going to be there probably around here at this time, but I'm not particularly, like, I'm going to bounce around and, meet some other groups of people and, get a drink and chill out. I'd love to see you though. Right. And then he'd be like, oh no, you don't want to hang out with me. And I'm like, no, that's not what I said. But I don't necessarily want to hang out with you all night on a one-on-one thing, because I'm going to the bar for other reasons. And then right away, he'll push back and he'll be like, oh, well, I just thought it'd be cool if we could. I'm like, bro, that's just who I am. I'd love to see you. I'll see you when I get there. When I show up, then I go talk to other people like I said I was going to. Come back, give him some attention, go around. And he understands that he can expect me to show up when I say I do, but he doesn't expect me to isolate with him all night, because I set the expectations clearly on what I was planning on doing, whether or not he likes it or not. I'm just going to do what I do. And this keeps our relationship really, really well-oiled, because when I show up and I don't do what he expects me to do because I told him what was going on, he may or may not like how I go about my life, and he may resent me for it, but he also doesn't think I'm a liar, and I also don't let him down by not doing something I said I was going to do, or not doing something how he expected. So I think it's important to set boundaries, set expectations like this, so that I don't get stuck in a place where I have to render a service that I didn't want to render. If I feel like leaving, I'll just leave. If I feel like staying and talking, I'll stay and talk. If I feel like getting distracted and going somewhere else, I'll do that. And most people can expect that out of me, and they don't really fault me for it after the initial tension is dissipated. I picked up this habit after being a people pleaser for a very long time. I spent a good part of my 20s, most of my 30s, trying just to make everybody happy, try to be everything to everyone, trying to provide as much value as possible in the way that other people expect me to do it, rather than what I'm doing now, which is providing as much value as possible in the way that I am most qualified. Because over the time in studying social dynamics and studying psychology, I've learned that I have a certain amount of value that I can provide in different areas, and I'd rather provide value in the areas where I can shine, that I can feel confident in, instead of trying to adapt to everybody's understanding of value from me, and trying to be everything to everyone. Because what happens is I generally just let people down when I'm trying to serve them in the way that they feel they need to be served, and I don't fully understand it. So as I kind of burned down the people pleaser side of myself, I went really far to the other extreme, where I basically just said no to everything, and I'm going to do what I want, and I'll do it by myself if I have to. That is not a particularly good way to build rapport or build a social circle, but it is really good to sort of reclaim your own decision-making power and stop deferring your own decision-making to other people. It's a good way to keep yourself from asking for permission for everything that you do and just making decisions on your own. Once I got to the point where I could do that and I was okay with letting people down, then I was able to integrate back in, okay, so how can I serve these people the best? How can I provide value in a way that I am uniquely qualified for and that they can appreciate because it's who I am? And when I came back on the scene with that mentality, everything just blew up. Like, people knew what to expect from me. People knew what they could count on me for, and they didn't ask me for shit that I couldn't provide. And that makes my relationships much cleaner. And when people do ask me for things and I don't know if I can, then I let them know, well, I'm not particularly good at that, but I'm sure we can test it out or whatever, but I'm no expert. And then they go, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. And they'll give me a little bit of leeway to serve them in the way that they need to be served. And they'll be much more communicative on how I can modify my approach to serve them better as we get into a deeper rapport with each other. Today's challenge for you is to figure out what you're best at in a social relationship. And of course, this can be different for different people, but pick a type of relationship, kind of a platonic friend-to-friend relationship, or a romantic, like beginning romantic relationship, and just sort of visualize and picture, okay, if I have boundaries and standards, how do I communicate those in a way that isn't going to offend people? And when I do communicate that, what can I offer as value instead of just being combative with what I don't want to have in my life? An example is, like yesterday, we were talking about having standards, and when I go out and somebody treats me poorly, I definitely step up and be like, hey, no, we don't do that. I don't appreciate that. Don't do that around me, right? And it creates this friction right away. But if they accept that frame, then they act much better around me in the future. But on top of that, I've got to say, oh, I don't appreciate that, but I also respect you as a human. I have to give that vibe as well. I can't be just like, you're fucked up, don't talk to me. Like, that's not going to help social relationships or social circle anything. So you have to figure out what you can provide and then push it out there. So your challenge today is to visualize what it's like being asked to do something that you're not particularly comfortable doing, and how to counter value that relationship. Say, you know what, I'm not willing to do that, but I'm willing to do this. So go through that exercise in your brain, come up with a way to respond that's going to still provide value to the person in front of you, but also is in your wheelhouse of things that you can provide, that you're not going to feel overextended or taken advantage of when you do. That's today's talk. I do this every damn day, so see you guys tomorrow. Check out the playlist here. Check out yesterday's video there. Check out the subscription thing. If you're not subscribed, click this little button right here. Check out David's shit down in the description down below, and I'll see you tomorrow. Until then, stay awesome.